So,
What were you gonna say?
shall we discuss the more fine-grained details that maybe didn't make the presentation?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. So another article from The Verge, and it comes from our boy Tom Warren, who we've been following for ages now. I feel like basically we're a Tom Warren fan club over here. Hopefully he's a good dude. We never met him, but he writes good articles.
Love to meet you one day, Tom. I know you're not
Yeah. So Microsoft has a so the Verge article, the title of it is Microsoft 4 Xbox exclusive games are coming to the PS5 and the Nintendo Switch. Microsoft is starting off with just 4 games, but there could be many more in the future. And speaking of which, from that episode, or the actual Xbox podcast, which is going to be referenced in this, they did mention that most of the games are going to be over a year old, and there's going to be a first iteration of the franchise. It's meant to be like full potential on the Xbox platform and continued investment, community-driven games. That was like the main thing that they're concentrating on. So before we like really get in the article, I wanted to mention that part. Without further ado, so it's official. Microsoft is bringing some Xbox exclusive games to PS5 and Nintendo Switch. It's part of a broader strategy shift inside Microsoft's gaming business to grow games beyond just the company's Xbox consoles. We've made the decision, this quote is from Phil himself. So Phil Spencer said, "We've made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles." Bizarrely, Microsoft is refusing the name of the titles. That's not really that bizarre, Tom. He did say that he wanted to keep it, like, let the actual publishers...
Yeah, at the discretion of the publishers.
Yeah, at the discretion of the publishers, because the publishers wanted to make a big announcement, make it a big deal. And Phil was pretty straightforward about that. So, but the company says that there are 2 community-driven games, and the other 2 are smaller titles. Sources familiar with Microsoft plans tell me the first 2 titles will be Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, which makes a lot of sense, followed by Sea of Thieves and Grounded. Sea of Thieves makes the most sense, I think, out of all of them. Dude, could you imagine?
It does.
Now, Sea of Thieves, I think, has had like a bit of a drawback a little bit. It hasn't been as popular as it once was.
Bit of a dip, yeah.
Bit of a dip. That happens in life cycles. They continually update it. Rare is a wonderful game developer, publisher, whatever you want to call them. And if they could get that on like PlayStation 5, get a whole new dude. I got some boys who have never gotten off PlayStation in 15 years.
Oh, baby.
I'm going to get them on Sea of Thieves, and we're going to be so toxic. I'm so excited.
Listen, dude. Imagine playing... I don't know if you can actually do this effectively, but if you were on a boat playing Sea of Thieves on a Switch, bro, can you imagine? That'd be crazy. It'd be like you should be here, like you should just be enjoying the view, but you're just here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, yeah. And honestly, dude, give me that Apple headset, I'll be there. You know, like integrate and everything.
Give me the Vision Pro, baby.
So much fun, dude. All right, so let's continue on with the article here. So Phil Spencer claims there hasn't been a change to the company doing Xbox exclusive yet. And at the same time, he also thinks there will be fewer console exclusives across the industry over the next decade. I think that's very true. I think that it's just a matter of time until all games are on all platforms. It's just, is PlayStation going to give it up? I don't think Nintendo ever will. That's why I'm like putting in the if for PlayStation. Nintendo ain't ever doing it. They're never gonna allow Mario on like an Xbox.
They had that blue ocean, and they're just keeping it. They're like, we're keeping the strategy. We're not leaving it. These are our children.
100%. And Nintendo is just like, we've been around longer than all of you. Get effed. We keep it.
Yep.
Like such an old company. Anyways, so this quote goes on from Phil on the actual Xbox podcast. Check it out. We do have a link probably in the description, or it's on YouTube. He says, "I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 to 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be smaller and smaller part of the game industry." And then Microsoft is framing this move as just 4 games that the company can learn from, testing the waters, if you will. But rumors have suggested that Microsoft's ambitions for multi-platform games go much deeper. Starfield was rumored for PS5, and I reported earlier this month that Microsoft has been considering launching Indiana Jones on the PS5 months after its Xbox launch. And Spencer confirms that Starfield and Indiana Jones are not part of the first 4 games, but he doesn't rule out the possibility for these titles to arrive on the PS5 in the future. I don't think we should, as an industry, ever rule out a game going to any other platform, says Spencer in an interview with The Verge. We are focused on these 4 games and learning from the experience. We don't have work going on other franchises. But for anybody to stand up and say something's never going to happen, I think it feels like creating more certainty in a world of gaming where you really want to respond to what customers want and what other players and creators are looking for. So not every Xbox game is suddenly going to appear on rival consoles, but Microsoft is clearly considering the potential for more in the future. Interesting. So Mr. Tom Warren asked Phil Spencer whether there would be more multi-platform games, especially if these 4 are successful. And his response was, yeah, but we haven't seen that yet. We are obviously one of the biggest publishers on PlayStation and Nintendo today when you think about the Activision Blizzard and Bethesda lineup of games. So we know what it means to ship games on Steam, PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox. There are games that originally launched on Xbox. They were Xbox branded games, and we want to see what happens. Because going and doing the development work to bring them to new platforms is real work. We want to make sure that the return makes sense. We want to make sure that the audience there has an appetite. Maybe they don't. Very interesting.
Maybe they don't.
I think PlayStation, like fan base in terms of like, I think they're a little bit more loyal. They're a little bit more of like fans of the PlayStation IP than the Xbox crew is. I think that has a lot to do with just maybe Xbox players now have the ability to play Xbox games, pretty much all Xbox games on the PC. And once you can get to another platform like a powerful PC, you have so many options for all different brands, all different games. And it becomes less of like the console you play on, you know?
Yeah.
Which, so we got a lengthy article here, don't we? So Tom goes on and he says he understands that Microsoft has also previously been weighing up the idea of bringing Gears of War, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and even the next Doom game to rival platforms. That would be kind of like wild. All 3 of those right there, that'd be nutty. Yeah. Final decisions haven't been made on these other games, but there's bound to be more than just 4. As the strategy evolves, it's clear there will be some interesting decisions being made for the future of the Xbox games and exclusivity. And then I believe Tom basically goes on a little bit further to start speculating. So what are your thoughts, Kyle? What do you think about all the new games that are coming out of Xbox?
This is ultimately an initial experiment, a prototype to see how these games do on other consoles, see how these games do with other markets. And like you were saying, like Phil Spencer saying, like eventually it's gonna be ecoless. It's just gonna kind of run free, I think, for most publishers and makers, with the caveat of Nintendo, which I think we can both hold as, if there's anyone that doesn't do it, it's definitely them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I really do. Yeah. I think this just goes back to the overall business that Xbox has always been trying to do. And Phil really hinted on that in the podcast of they're just really trying to get people on the Xbox Ultimate Game Pass. And if that means if we can get you on the Ultimate Game Pass while you're on PlayStation, they'll do it. Because they're like, we just need people to subscribe. Like, don't you want these games? That kind of thing. Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see an Ultimate Game Pass on a PlayStation 5. I wonder if you'd get the full library at that point. Because that would like void out the not every single Xbox game will be on there that he was talking about. It'd be very interesting. You'd have to create a new tier. It's like the Xbox PlayStation Game Pass.
That'd be interesting. More subscription servants and more ways to confuse the consumer. I think you gotta love it, right?
Jeez. That's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, Phil Spencer also talks about kind of further on in the article, this is the reason they want to try to get, these games on quote unquote rival platforms is because, they want long-term success for games, which I think is, I think makes sense. I mean, kind of break down those barriers. I think more people will play, more people will win. Xbox's slogan, right? I think it's even on their YouTube channel is like, when more people play, we win or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
I butchered that, but you get the idea. Like, you want as many people to, you know, utilize the platform and play games because, yeah, we all play, we all win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it really seems like Xbox is just trying to like push the industry into a subscription-based model where you don't own any games, but you can also play any of the games anywhere on any device.
Yeah.
I think that's their ultimate goal, which is like it makes a lot of sense. That's really good for new modern games. I do think it's the only hindrance for me is the fact that you don't physically own games anymore.
Yeah.
That's the part that's like really doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah,
But everything else I'm cool with.
I mean, yeah, I'm the same way. Like that is the only true downside to me. Is that there's just like, what does that mean for preservation? And I just like right now, there's just no solution for that, and it's kind of just only getting worse. And so that's certainly my only concern, kind of going into this. I know, and like that's something I didn't open my eyes up until probably the last year, like getting into especially like retro stuff, like retro games and whatnot, and kind of just saying like, oh yeah, like, you know, nowadays it's very like, you know, dude, there isn't as much like there's really no ownership nowadays in terms of what it is back then, where you just had the physical game. You're like, no one can take that from you, right? Like that is the game in your hand.
100%, yeah.
And yeah, these days it's not like that. Even like I feel like even the new like console stuff like that, like when you get the game on disc, I'm pretty sure it's just like a digital key almost. It's like you don't even like
Basically is,
really
yeah.
the game, like
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure it is because what happens, like how do you put like what's the maximum capacity, storage capacity on a DVD, like
I mean,
a
I don't know.
disc?
All I know is Final
I
Fantasy, the
I
next Final Fantasy Rebirth, that's on 2. So I mean, that's all I know.
So if it's on 2, then that means they're actually putting stuff on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
the
maybe
biggest
they're
thing,
doing like partial downloads.
yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about that, the biggest reason behind that, I think, is just the patches, right? Like, there's those day one patches
Yeah.
are so massive now. It's like that's why people say, you know, you don't really like own the full game even if you have the disc. 'Cause it's like those patches are just killer. It's like
I
yeah.
I get it, but I don't get it because like back in the day, like dude, there was day one passes for the original Xbox, but you still owned the physical game.
Yeah.
They're like Xbox Live only updates that you can do that thankfully people have archived, and you can still download them for like your consoles if you happen to get back in like retro gaming. It's just
Yeah.
I don't find that to be a legitimate excuse. I think it's a it's a way to keep people from owning the game, and it's really I think the overall goal is to get rid of the used game market altogether. I think they want to
Yeah.
get rid of places like EB Games pretty much is gone, or GameStop. Just get
Right.
rid of
Yeah.
used games altogether. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal, right? We're seeing that now. Everything's going to digital. No one's going to own their stuff, and I don't know. World domination is imminent. Like that's all I can say. I mean, it's so funny too. We see this article right here. It's a related article. It's something we didn't even cover, but Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass service grows to 34 million subscribers. However, I saw a caveat to this, Mike. Listen, I saw a caveat to this that said that number includes the Xbox Core service, which used to be Xbox Live Gold.
Xbox
So
Live, yeah.
it's a little
Okay,
padded,
so that
but
makes
like
sense.
you see, it's
Okay.
like it's still we're out here with these subscriptions. Xbox making a lot of money off these subscriptions. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy out here. This is in-game.
Dude,
This
but
is in-game.
like let me look up. So 34 times how much? $60 a year? That is
60 to
is that
120,
right?
I guess. It's a range. But
Yes. 34 million times 60 for a year is
yeah, at minimum.
2040, which is that 2 billion? 40 million? 2 billion and 40 million dollars a year
Yeah.
just off subscriptions, bro. And their
Yeah.
their Microsoft Azure servers are still trash. Bro, fix them. Like you get that much money? Holy crap.
Oh my god.
Insanity. But let me go ahead and wrap up this article, and then it ties actually perfect into the final article of the day. So I'll third from the bottom. I'll read the last 3 paragraphs so the readers can read along with me.
Okay.
So there was yes, this is basically Tom going into it. So there are even some more console and controller options in quotes for Xbox fans this holiday, and perhaps even an Xbox handheld in the future. I'm not holding my breath on that one, to be honest. You can read more about the Microsoft's Xbox hardware plans here. So looking forward to Kyle getting into that. But let's go on to this ending. So Tom finished his interview with Phil Spencer by asking him what is Xbox to Microsoft now, and Phil's response is Xbox is our gaming platform and content business. It's the #1 consumer business that Microsoft has. It's an important business. It's a consumer category that is driven by technology and creativity.
Boom!
Very interesting.
Boom!
Very interesting.
Lay it down, baby.
It's it's the #1 consumer business. I guess consumer centric, because like Microsoft's #1 business is software, like Teams,
Windows,
Outlook,
Windows
itself. Like, but that's more of probably like a business consumer. I don't even know how you would categorize that. I'm sure there's somebody with an MBA watching. They know. But the final one, I agree with Tom wholeheartedly. This makes a lot of sense. So he goes, but Phil never mentioned that Xbox is a console, a single piece of hardware, because it's not anymore. Microsoft Gaming has grown way beyond the Xbox. Now the company is beginning to really show what its Xbox Everywhere vision is all about. If Microsoft is successful, it could change the way the entire game industry thinks about making games. If it's not, then you can bet Microsoft will be back to the drawing board to figure out how it can continue to take Xbox everywhere. I think Microsoft winning for sure, dude. I think they're super inviting for indie developers to make new games on new platforms. And if you have the most amount of players, every new game developer moving forward will want to create products or games on the Microsoft Xbox platform.
Yes, they will.
100%.
Yes, they will.
Which means we're going to get way more games on the Game Pass, and it's just going to make that Ultimate Game Pass more and more valuable.
If we get more cocoons, Mike, it's a great year, great day, great life. You know what I'm saying?
If we can get more Ori and the Blind Forest, or Ori
oh man, Will the Wisp. Oh my goodness.
Let me see the triple one. Let's go.
Give me the third. Where's the three-peat?
Nah, those guys moved on to another game, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But stellar.
All right, that's all I got. Thank you for watching the M2 podcast. If you'd like to see the full unedited version of the last episode you just saw, check the description below. Remember to like and subscribe. Take it easy.